I'm glad he is in custody and being charged, obviously. But I feel angry that it's taken that long and it's taken a big toll on families and their children.
For years, parents in Melbourne's western suburbs trusted alleged rapist Joshua Dale Brown to look after their children.
There were signs prior to him being charged that should have been taken more serious. He should have been removed from the sector then.
Tonight, the mother of a 1-year-old baby, who she says was dropped by Joshua Dale Brown, speaks out about the formal complaint made about him 2 years ago while he worked here at Creative Garden Early Learning Centre, Point Cook. This is the centre police allege he sexually abused children.
Do you know if your son liked Joshua?
He was always crying when we handed him over.
For legal reasons, we'll call this mother Helen. Her son's treatment at the hands of Joshua Brown sparked an internal investigation into his conduct that took 5 months.
So tell me what happened on that day, on the 4th of April 2023. What happened to your son?
We received a phone call from Creative Garden that an educator in our child's room reported the other educator in our child's room for mishandling our child. This is all we were told. Later on, when we picked up our child, immediately obviously, we were told that someone had dropped him because this person couldn't settle our child. We later found out that it was Josh who had dropped our child.
What happens after?
Thereafter, I was in regular contact with Creative Garden, trying to get answers, trying to understand what is happening, but also trying to see what is happening with the educator in question, with Josh, because I wanted to make sure that he's removed from the room for good and that he's not allowed to work with children of that age who are unable to walk and talk.
The next day, Helen emailed the centre. Has there been any progress re the incident at the centre yesterday? The centre manager replied, I sent off the documentation to the department for notification and currently completing documentation to send to the CCYP, which is the Victorian Commission for Children and Young People. The educator has been removed from the room during the investigation process and is not being left isolated in rooms with other children.
I was told that Josh was removed from the room whilst the investigation is ongoing. In saying that, I constantly had to chase Creative Garden for information. I wasn't provided with information on a regular basis.
A week later, Helen followed up again, asking, could I please ask why there hasn't been an incident report for what happened? The centre manager replied, the educator who witnessed the incident is on annual leave.
There were constant excuses such as a staff member was on holiday, we weren't able to conduct this and this review, someone else was on leave, which I think, given the seriousness of the incident, is not good enough.
Then, after 5 months of waiting for answers, Helen pleaded for an update on the investigation. On the 17th of August 2023, the centre manager replied, telling her an internal investigation was completed internally. With permission from the Department of Education, the investigation was found substantiated due to recklessness. The team member has been given an official written warning, is completing a performance improvement plan and will not be left in isolation until the performance improvement plan has been passed. The department and CCYP have agreed with this outcome and have now closed the case for us to continue disciplinary actions.
What do you know about the investigation that was conducted into Joshua Brown?
I don't actually know anything, and as a parent, this is the worst because there was no transparency in the process.
Do you know what really happened between Joshua Brown and your son?
No, I don't feel I know what happened. I think using a word mishandling is very broad. It's a broad term. To me, it's not clear what that actually means. And causing it later recklessness equally is an empty word. There is little definition to these words, and we still don't really know what happened or why.
Should Joshua Brown have been working with children?
No, of course not.
G8 Education operates the Creative Garden Early Learning Centre in Point Cook. The company has more than 400 centres across the country and is one of the biggest childcare operators. Last Friday, 7:30 requested an interview with its CEO, Pejman Okhovat, to discuss its complaints handling process and its investigation into Joshua Brown. G8 Education didn't answer our specific questions. Instead, the next day, the company sent a mass email to parents confirming that 2 internal investigations had been conducted into Joshua Dale Brown during his employment at Creative Garden Early Learning Centre, Point Cook. The first investigation involved Helen's son. G8 Education admitted Mr. Brown aggressively picked up and put down and did not uphold the dignity and rights of a child in his care by not supporting that child while they were upset. G8 Education said Joshua Dale Brown went on leave for 3 months after the investigation. He then continued to be employed at Creative Garden Early Learning Centre, Point Cook. Then in January 2024, after a second incident, he resigned. But he went on to work at 10 more childcare centres right up until his arrest in May this year. 7:30 contacted both the Victorian Department of Education and the Victorian Commission for Children and Young People. Both refused to comment on previous complaints about Joshua Brown, citing ongoing investigations. Last week, family and friends of children impacted by this police investigation into Joshua Brown desperately sought answers at a meeting hosted by law firm Arnold, Thomas and Becker.
Families are incredibly angry about information being hidden from them. They're not getting the relevant information out of the childcare centres.
Lawyer Jodie Harris is representing parents who are suing G8 Education.
Parents who have been directly impacted by these alleged offences, who themselves are suffering severely in relation to their own mental health associated with what's happened to their child. They're off work, they're having treatment. It's going to be some time before they may be in a position to trust anyone to care for their child again.
For us, you know, we are constantly questioning our choices with care for our son. It really scars you, and you have a lot of guilt over the choices that you've made in the past. Were there signs that we should have picked up on prior? Should we have acted earlier? Should we have reacted differently? Of course, these are all the questions that most parents affected now are facing as well.